Uncle Benji here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have the second in our series of artist spotlight videos that we're doing. Instead of just highlighting a single piece of the collection, we're talking about a specific artist and my physical collection of that artist. And the first time we did this, it was about Cavalier. This time it's going to be another label mate of Backwoods Studios, and that will be Fatboi Sharif. I have his new album right here, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I want to talk about Sharif as an artist before I go further. This is his second album that he's put out on Backwoods. First album, Decay, on Backwoods right here, came out in 2023. But Sharif has been putting out music like for at least 10 years now. I can look back, like stuff in 2016 is the first stuff like you can find on the internet when he was putting out music. He really had a breakthrough in 2021 with the album Gandhi Loves Children, and that was with Roper Williams, who producers continue to put out a lot of work with. We'll touch a little bit more on some of the other projects, but Sharif's like a really unique artist that has a completely unique delivery style, not just to rap, to like any kind of music. There's no one that sounds like Sharif. There's no one that puts words together in the way that he does. He's completely unafraid to be himself, to try new things, to transcend the genre, to push the genre forward. Truly an avant-garde artist. And I think part of the reason why he's not as big as I think he should be is because of that fearlessness to just do whatever he wants and not fit into a box and not be a traditional MC. He's an artist that a lot of other Backwoods fans that know how big of a Backwoods fan historian I am. I get it a lot with Sharif where people ask me like, well, where should I start? Like, put me on, what should I check into? And a lot of these are people that are very tapped in to other Backwoods artists. So it kind of tells me like he's an artist that people have maybe tried to get into but haven't been able to or don't quite get it. And I'm always happy to offer recommendations, to try to encourage people to listen to his music more. But it's one of those things that I think, over time, more and more people will tap in and recognize what he's doing because he's really unique artists that can, take time for the public to catch up to what they're doing. But that's not going to make me any less loud and enthusiastic about his music because it deserves so much attention and praise. Yesterday, I was really getting to deep dive with this album that just came out on Friday. This album is Crayola Circles here. And like I said, his second album that came out on Backwoods, and just an incredible album. And listened to it on Friday and over the weekend, but I had a lot of stuff going on, so I feel like I didn't really get super in tune listens until last night. And man, lines were just jumping out at me from this album, and incredibly personal album, and was tweeting out lots of lines that reflect that and the history and the background that he's come through. I mean, a song on there like Recognition, like I just listen to it. If you listen to that song and you put together what he's talking about from his childhood, growing up, it speaks for itself. It was cool to hear a clip. I'm going to probably, after I get off here today, watch Sharif's interview that he did with the Rap Music Plug podcast. And there was a clip that I caught right before I hopped on here where Sharif was explaining to Ro on there how this was his most personal album. And I don't always want to say like the new artist album is their most personal, because that happens all the time with artists. And a lot of times it's just fans that are finally catching in or getting in tune with what that artist is saying and understanding it better. So let's say it's more personal while they're ignoring that the previous albums were still super personal too. You just weren't getting it. But hearing Sharif say that makes it easier for me to say it's his most personal because he agrees with that sentiment. And like as he said on this podcast, Child Actor's beats brought it out of him. And, getting to work with Child Actor on this album was absolutely one of my favorite producers. Just, it's hard to say what he's making his beats. Like, it's just very unique music pieces that to me are closer to a piece of jazz music that he's creating, that Sharif inspired him to really go deep and not just put absurd and creative words together in amazing ways like he always does, but really delve the depths of what made him who he is, where he came from, and the lines just tumble out and reveal themselves to be so brilliant. I mean, this is only a 27-minute album, but there's so much content on this thing, and it is quickly rising up my albums of the year list, and there's already so many incredible albums this year, but this is definitely one of the best albums. I'm going to talk about a couple more pieces of the collection, though. I showed this Decay album, the first album with Backwoods, which has been pretty much to this point, I would say, probably consensus, most people's favorite, although his music's so different that you could ask, any Sharif fan, and they're going to have like a different favorite album. He has so many incredible EPs. They're short projects that are amazing, that are a lot of people's favorites. But this was a good chance for him to really show what he can do on a larger platform. It's a little more straightforward than some of his other albums. It's produced in full by Steel Tip Dove. He's an amazing producer. This came out in 2023, so it didn't take long after he had his breakthrough in 2021 with Gandhi Loves Children for Woods and Backwoods to get in tune with what he was doing and, try to get him to partner with them and start releasing music on the label. I also have from that Decay album the tape that was put out on Backwoods as well, so another piece of physical media collection here with that tape. Another album that's absolutely one of my favorite Sharif albums is this album that he made with Drive-By, Let Me Out. And the artwork is just insane on this. And it's all done by Chop the Head, who's one of, if not the best artists out there in hip-hop doing covers for hip-hop artists. And man, this album hits so hard. Drive-By's production is really driving and psychedelic, but not overly so, like a lot of the stuff Sharif rhymes on. I mean, the drums really hitting on this, and it really allows Sharif to go in. And there's a lot of great guests. I mean, there's a verse from Curly Castro on here that's incredible. A great collaboration with Beans, a great collaboration with Lung. So some really great MCs that are definitely on the same wavelength as Sharif. And this is one of my favorites in his catalog, definitely in the top 2 or 3 for sure. Later in 2025, he put out another album with GDP, who's an amazing rapper and producer. And GDP produced this album, Endocrine, and also rhymes on it, goes back and forth tag teaming with Sharif. Super cool psychedelic artwork and just design of how they put this together. And this is a really, really fun album because GDP is an incredible MC and very different from Sharif, a little more traditional, really witty writer, makes you laugh. Him going back and forth with Sharif and this kind of psychedelic vibe of an album is crazy. And it's one of the fan favorites out there. I feel like it's a good entry point for Sharif because you hear him with a little bit more traditional MC going back and forth. And, if you're new to Sharif, definitely check out this album. It's incredible. I also have from Crayola Circles here, I would tape. Backwoods put out all this stuff, just came recently. I have the CD, which I've been running in my car a ton. I love this cover. I have a t-shirt coming in the mail with this cover on it. The cover art was done by Creep F, art on the back, but very colorful. I mean, I mentioned on here how incredible Recognition is. You got like Cold Day in Hell, just incredible writing on that song. I mean, the song titles on here, he always has super creative, interesting song titles, and it kind of gives you a window into the type of writing he does, the type of wordplay he uses. A very absurd writer, a lot of surrealism. There's a lot of stuff in there, like if a casual listener who's not used to listening to hip-hop lyrics hears some of his lyrics and takes them literal. You know, people can get offended. People can't understand what he's saying. A lot of the stuff is very sarcastic or in jest or pointed commentary on the world that we're living in, how absurd everything is in the modern world. He has a very dark sense of humor, and he uses short, clipped phrases that really require you as a listener to connect a lot of the dots. You know, one of my favorite things about rap is transitions and how stream of consciousness you can really get into the head of a rapper and understand what their thought process is. While even the simpler stream of consciousness rappers are hard for a casual listener to pick up on those transitions, someone Sharif really makes you sit down and be like, what? How does that phrase connect with that phrase? How does that word connect with that word? And when you get kind of accustomed to the way he writes, there's a lot of stuff that really jumps out that you're like, oh man, like I understand that connection he's making. I understand like what he's really skewering there when he says that line and how that connects with something else. Could be completely different kind of realm, but all of these things come out in Sharif's music in very organic ways. And sometimes on a lot of his previous stuff, there's times where even if it is pointed stuff, there's stuff you can tell he's having fun with language too. He really enjoys words and putting them together in creative ways. I'm going to continue to get more and more out of this album every time I listen to it because it's so stacked with these lyrics and non sequiturs that really make you think. Even some of the lyrics, like he doesn't include written lyrics on here, but I'm going to have to find a way to get some of them because it's one of those albums where I don't want to miss anything. Sometimes the way he does his vocals, he goes into singing, he goes into the word kind of trails off at the end of a bar, so you may not know exactly what he's saying. It can be a little cryptic, but man, like it's just really incredible writing and styling and ways to attack a track that nobody else would. I'm really only highlighting a handful of projects here. He has a few other albums he's put out on vinyl, a couple other tapes too, I believe. So he has some physical product out there I don't have. I'll also say that Sharif is an artist that, because I feel like people haven't caught on to him as much as they should, you can collect his catalog, even anything that's out of print, for really cheaply. You know, even if you buy stuff secondhand, you're not going to have to pay exorbitant prices to get a piece of Sharif vinyl. So if you're trying to collect vinyl for a lot of your favorite artists and it's a little price prohibitive, like Sharif is one of those guys where the entry point isn't too high and you can get the vast majority of his physical collection for not too much. But he's put out a ton of other projects that aren't on physical collection. A lot of his best projects, you know, like since 2021, since Gandhi Loves Children came out, he's put out like 12 projects. And some of my favorites, he had an EP, Cyber City Society, with Lungs, Lone Sword producing that. Just a crazy psychedelic EP that I would love to see released in physical format sometime. I'd love to see him work more with Lungs. I think I've heard there's more work in the pipeline between the two of them, so I would love to hear that. He also put out Planet Unfaithful, which was a project with Roper, and it got a deluxe version later on with instrumentals, and it's really like a sequel to Gandhi Loves Children. And this is, again, one of my favorite projects, probably in the top 3 Sharif projects. More of a recent one. I think it came out in 2024, the original one, but that's an incredible project. So even though you can't buy that on vinyl, that's a very good entry point, Planet Unfaithful. And then he had a couple EPs, experimental EPs with Roper Williams, who he made those albums with as well. So he's done a lot of work with Roper. But Something About Shirley and Goth Girl on the Enterprise, I mean, if you really want to see how far you can stretch rap music and where it might be going if people kind of take the lead of someone like Sharif and expand what they're doing and think outside the box of what rap can be, those are some EPs that I highly recommend. You know, I'm not always going to recommend those to people that are brand new to Sharif or I can tell haven't been able to get into him in the past and are asking where should I start, because those kind of experimental sounds and, stuff that doesn't sound at all like traditional rap, I think is part of the reason why some rap fans are a little hesitant or don't quite know where to get into him. But there's, lots of different entry points, and I encourage you to dip your toes in the water in different projects he has. And if you're really a rap fan, if you're into like backwoods and that kind of scene of music that's going on, you're going to find stuff from Sharif that you love, and you're going to slowly understand his language and even find love for the stuff that maybe didn't resonate with you at first. I can only hope that another 5 years from now that Sharif is a really, really established artist that can sell out limited vinyl runs that he does and tour more regularly. I still have not seen Sharif live, and man, I've said if I don't end this year seeing Sharif live at some point in time, it's a failure for me. Like, he's probably very top of my list of artists I haven't seen that I've got to find a way to see this year. I mean, if you've seen any footage of his live shows, you know what I'm talking about. He truly lets it all hang out and creates an all-encompassing environment, performance, experience for anyone who goes to his shows. And I can tell that just from looking at short video clips online. So Sharif is a special, special artist. This new album just came out, and you need to tap into it if you're not already a Sharif fan. If you haven't started, I'm telling you, this is the place to start. I mean, Child Actors production, amazing. And it's the best work of Sharif's career. Like, he has some incredible work, but he really, really delivered some high-level stuff here. And please check it out. Check out the rest of his physical collection. His collection is not physical. This is an artist that more people need to be tapped into. Fatboi Sharif. Tap in. Uncle Benji. Peace out till next time.